Beyond the Gates, spoilers for Friday's July 10, point toward an emotionally charged episode built around confession, fear, family, loyalty, and the kind of truth that can no longer be hidden behind good intentions. Naomi Hawthorne has been carrying a burden that was never meant to remain private forever, and now the pressure of that silence appears ready to break her. For weeks, Naomi has tried to convince herself that keeping her BRCA-positive result a secret was an act of protection rather than deception. She did not want to add more fear to a family already shaken by Danny Dupree's positive test result and Anita Dupree's painful battle with breast cancer. She did not want Jacob Hawthorne to look at her with panic in his eyes when he was already preparing to step deeper into a dangerous investigation surrounding the plasma ring. She did not want Danny to spiral into guilt, and she certainly did not want Anita to feel as if her own illness had become a dark warning spreading through the generations of the Dupree family. But secrets inside Fairmont Crest rarely stay contained, and Naomi's choice to remain silent may now create exactly the kind of emotional explosion she was trying to avoid. Thursday's episode seems prepared to place Naomi at the center of a deeply personal reckoning. The spoilers suggest that Naomi will finally share something with Jacob and Danny that leaves both of them completely stunned, and all signs point to her emotional confession that she tested positive for the BRCA gene. This is not just a medical disclosure. It is a confession wrapped in fear, shame, love, denial, and the desperate wish to control a situation that was never fully in her control. Naomi likely believed that silence would give everyone room to breathe. Anita had already gone through the terrifying journey of breast cancer, and the family had only just begun to process the relief that her tumor removal surgery went well. Danny had been forced to face her own genetic risk, and that alone was enough to shake the family's emotional foundation. In Naomi's mind, adding her own name to that list may have felt like pouring gasoline onto an already burning fire. She may have told herself she was waiting for the right moment, but in a family as emotionally connected as the Duprees, waiting can easily become another word for hiding. The heartbreak of Naomi's confession will likely come from the fact that Jacob and Danny may not know how to react at first. Danny, as Naomi's mother, may feel the first wave of shock as fear. Even if Danny tries to stay strong, the idea that her daughter has been carrying this diagnosis alone could devastate her. Danny may immediately wonder how long Naomi has known, why she never said anything, and whether there were moments when Naomi smiled through family gatherings while privately fearing for her future. The pain for Danny may not simply be about the gene itself, but about the distance that Naomi created by keeping the truth hidden. Mothers in the Dupree family do not always handle fear gently, and Danny may respond with anger before she can reach compassion. She may feel excluded from her own daughter's suffering, as if Naomi denied her the chance to be there when it mattered most. But underneath that anger will be terror. Terror that Naomi could face the same illness Anita has fought. Terror that another woman in the family could be pulled into the medical nightmare they all hoped was finally easing. And terror that the family's legacy may now include more than wealth, influence, and status. It may include a genetic shadow that refuses to disappear. Jacob's reaction could be just as complicated, but for different reasons. As Naomi's husband, he may feel blindsided not only by the medical reality but by the emotional secrecy behind it. Jacob has stood beside Naomi through public pressure, family tension, and the complicated expectations that come with being tied to the Duprees. Yet this revelation may make him question how much of Naomi's fear she has been keeping locked away from him. He may ask himself whether he missed the signs, whether he was too distracted by his own work and his secret investigation, or whether Naomi deliberately kept him at a distance because she did not trust him enough to carry the burden with her. That could cut deeply. Jacob may understand, intellectually, why Naomi stayed silent. He knows the family was already fragile. He knows the timing was terrible. He knows she likely did not want to become another crisis when Anita's surgery and Danny's test results were dominating everyone's emotions. But understanding why someone hides the truth does not erase the sting of being kept in the dark. For Jacob, the confession may awaken both love and hurt at the same time. He will want to protect Naomi, but he may also need to confront the painful fact that she chose solitude over partnership. What makes Naomi's confession especially powerful is that it comes at a time when the Dupree family has barely had a chance to recover from Anita's health crisis. Vernon and Anita are expected to receive an important family update in the same episode, and the tone of the spoilers suggests that this news may be painful or deeply unsettling. If they learn that Naomi is BRCA positive, then Anita's relief after a successful tumor removal surgery could quickly turn into renewed heartbreak. Anita has fought through the fear, exhaustion, and vulnerability of breast cancer, and she knows better than anyone what that road can do to a woman's body and spirit. She would never want Danny, Naomi, or any of her granddaughters to live under that same threat. The cruel irony is that Anita's own diagnosis may have been the event that pushed the family to get tested in the first place. What began as a necessary act of prevention has now become a source of emotional devastation. Anita may feel that her illness has opened a door the family cannot close, revealing truths they were not ready to face. Vernon, meanwhile, may try to be the steady presence everyone expects him to be, but even he may struggle under the weight of this update. Vernon's role in the family has often been tied to strength, control, and dignity, yet health scares are not problems that can be solved through status, strategy, or influence. He can protect the Dupree name from scandal, but he cannot shield his family from inherited risk. If Vernon and Anita learn about Naomi's result on Thursday, their reaction may reveal just how vulnerable the family truly is beneath its polished exterior. In Fairmont Crest, the Duprees are used to people watching them, judging them, envying them, and waiting for cracks to appear in their perfect image. But this is not the kind of crack that comes from gossip or betrayal. This is private, human, and terrifyingly real. It strips away the power games and leaves only a family forced to face mortality, fear, and the limits of love. The emotional core of the episode may rest on whether Danny and Jacob can move past the shock and recognize the loneliness behind Naomi's silence. Naomi did not hide the truth because she did not care. She hid it because she cared too much, or at least because she believed she was sparing everyone additional pain. That does not make her choice harmless, but it does make it tragically understandable. In soap drama, the most compelling secrets are not always born from malice. Sometimes they come from misguided love, from the belief that one person can absorb suffering quietly so everyone else can keep standing. Naomi may have convinced herself that if she did not say the words aloud, then the diagnosis would remain manageable. She may have delayed telling Jacob because he was entering a dangerous chapter of his own. She may have avoided telling Danny because Danny was already processing her own test result. She may have kept it from Anita because Anita's recovery needed hope, not another reason to fear the future. But silence has a cost. It turns love into distance, protection into deception, and fear into isolation. There is also the question of what Naomi's BRCA-positive status means for her future choices. This confession is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a new emotional and medical journey. Naomi may now have to consider screenings, preventive options, difficult conversations with doctors, and the psychological weight of living with elevated risk. For a woman surrounded by a family that often expects resilience and composure, Naomi may struggle to admit how scared she really is. She may worry that everyone will suddenly treat her like a patient before she is sick. She may fear becoming defined by the gene rather than by who she is as a wife, daughter, and woman. Jacob may want to take immediate action, while Danny may want answers, plans, and control. Anita may urge caution and strength, but her own experience could make her reaction emotionally overwhelming. The result could be a painful collision between support and suffocation. Naomi may finally tell the truth only to discover that being honest does not instantly make things easier. At the same time, Thursday's episode will not only focus on Naomi's confession and the Dupree family's health concerns. Another thread involving Martin Richardson, Bradley Smitty Smith, Samantha Richardson Smith, and Tyrell Richardson Smith promises to bring a different kind of parental fear into the story. Spoilers reveal that Samantha will tell Martin and Smitty something that leaves them increasingly worried about Tyrell. While the exact nature of the information remains unclear, the concern may be connected to Jessica Harris and Tyrell's romantic life. Tyrell appears to be at a turning point, standing between youth and adulthood, between family expectations and personal desire, between his future and his heart. He has graduated or is at least entering a new stage where choices matter more than ever, and he wants a perfect summer with Jessica before life pulls them in different directions. But young love can be dangerous when it begins demanding sacrifices that shape someone's entire future. If Samantha has discovered something troubling, it may not simply be that Tyrell is heartbroken or anxious about Jessica leaving for UCLA. The deeper concern may be that Tyrell is making decisions based on fear of losing her rather than on what is best for his own life. He may be trying to convince Jessica to stay close to home, not because he truly believes it is the right path for her, but because he cannot imagine surviving the distance. Or perhaps Samantha has learned that Tyrell himself has quietly turned down an opportunity, scholarship, internship, or important next step because he does not want to be separated from Jessica. That would explain why Martin and Smitty become alarmed. As parents, they may understand teenage heartbreak, but they also know the danger of watching a young person shrink his future to fit a relationship that may not last. Tyrell may think he is choosing love, but Martin and Smitty may fear he is choosing fear disguised as devotion. This storyline could mirror Naomi's in a subtle but meaningful way. Naomi hides a painful truth because she thinks she is protecting her family. Tyrell may hide or minimize a major life decision because he thinks he is protecting his relationship. Both characters could be making emotional choices in isolation, believing silence gives them control, when in reality it only deepens the crisis. Samantha's role may be especially important because she becomes the messenger of a truth no one wants to hear. If she tells Martin and Smitty that Tyrell is in trouble emotionally, or that he has made a reckless decision for Jessica's sake, she may feel guilty for exposing him. But keeping quiet would only allow the situation to get worse. Samantha may know that her brother will be angry, embarrassed, or defensive once he realizes she spoke up. Still, she may also understand that love inside a family sometimes means sounding the alarm before the person you love drives himself into a corner. Martin and Smitty's concern could create one of the episode's most grounded emotional conflicts. They will want to help Tyrell, but they may not know how to reach him without pushing him away. If they confront him too harshly, he could accuse them of not respecting his relationship or not trusting him to make adult decisions. If they stay silent, he could continue down a path that damages his future. Parents often face this impossible balance when their children begin making choices that carry adult consequences. Martin and Smitty may disagree about how to handle it. One may want a direct confrontation, while the other may prefer patience and emotional support. But both will likely share the same fear, that Tyrell is letting panic over Jessica guide decisions he may regret for years. Their worry may not be about Jessica herself as much as what Tyrell is becoming in response to the possibility of losing her. What makes this Tyrell storyline compelling is that it does not need a villain to create tension. Jessica may not be manipulating him. She may simply have her own dreams, her own future, and her own right to choose UCLA if that is what she wants. Tyrell's pain may come from the realization that love does not always mean staying in the same place. He may believe that if Jessica leaves, the relationship will fall apart, and that fear may drive him to pressure her or sabotage his own opportunities. Samantha's information could force Martin and Smitty to see that their son is not just lovesick, he may be emotionally spiraling. The question becomes whether they can guide him before he turns a temporary heartbreak into a permanent mistake. If the writers handle this well, Thursday's episode could turn Tyrell's romantic anxiety into a larger story about identity, ambition, and the painful transition from protected youth into adulthood. Together, Naomi's confession and Tyrell's crisis suggest that Thursday's Beyond the Gates episode will be less about explosive public scandal and more about private emotional earthquakes. The drama may unfold in quiet rooms, tense conversations, and stunned reactions rather than grand confrontations. But that does not make it any less powerful. In fact, these are the kinds of stories that can reshape families because they expose what characters are most afraid to say. Naomi must face the consequences of hiding her BRCA result. Danny and Jacob must decide whether their shock will harden into anger or soften into support. Vernon and Anita may receive news that forces them to revisit the trauma they hoped was behind them. Martin and Smitty must confront the painful possibility that Tyrell's heart may be leading him toward a dangerous sacrifice. Samantha must carry the burden of revealing something that could damage her relationship with her brother but might ultimately save him from himself. By the end of Thursday's episode, the lives of several families may feel changed, even if no single secret destroys them all at once. Naomi's truth could bring the Duprees closer together, but only after it tears open old wounds about trust, fear, and vulnerability. Anita's recovery may no longer feel like the closing chapter of a health battle, but the beginning of a broader family reckoning. Jacob may have to prove that his love for Naomi is strong enough to hold both fear and disappointment. Danny may have to decide whether to lead with anger or compassion. And across town, Martin and Smitty may realize that protecting Tyrell means challenging him, even if he resents them for it. Thursday's episode appears ready to remind viewers that in Beyond the Gates, the most dangerous secrets are not always the ones involving crime, betrayal, or power. Sometimes the most devastating secrets are the ones kept in the name of love, and once they are spoken aloud, no one can pretend that life will ever be the same again.